is the Senate Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer of New York. Senator Schumer, welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Morning.
All right, I want to start actually with Niger, because I got to ask, as the Senate Democratic leader, have you been briefed?
Not yet. I hope to be briefed early next week.
Why haven't you been briefed? Was Jack Reed briefed?
No, I don't believe he was either. He sent a letter along with John McCain demanding that they come in and brief him.
I understand that. I guess if you get this briefing and you heard what Senator Graham believes this is part of the larger battle against radical Islamist fundamentalism and the spread of it, the cult-like spread of it now taking place in Africa. What does this mean for the war authorization? You heard Senator Graham there. He didn't know we had 1,000 troops in Niger. Did you?
No, I did not. And what it means, Chuck, for the war authorization is I agreed with Senator Paul that we ought to look at this carefully. We are in a brave new world. You know, there are no set battle plans. You don't declare war and then fight 3 weeks later. But having said that, the Constitution says Congress has the power to declare war, and if you're in a long-term war, Congress ought to keep that ability. So we need to re-examine this. We're on a AUMF that extends 16 years from right after we were attacked at the World Trade Center. So I would be for re-examining it, absolutely. There's no easy answer, but we should look at it. The answer we have now is not adequate.
Is this, how do you describe it any other way than never-ending war?
Well, look, terrorism and technology has allowed terrorists to do bad things to us. Our military is very, very good, and that's why we're having such success in Syria and Iraq.
Why is that? Let me stop you there. Why is that considered a success? I say it this way because it seems as if, okay, we had success in Afghanistan until we didn't. We had success in Iraq until we didn't. We had success, you know, Raqqa, and then all of a sudden now it's popping up in Central Africa. The point, I guess, is how do you define success? Because it seems these short-term victories are just that, short-term.
Well, 2 years ago, it looked like the ISIS would have a caliphate. When they had territory, they can get money out of the big cities, Mosul and Raqqa and all the others. They can't do that. Can they still try to hurt us? Yes. And we have to do everything we can to stop it. But to say that we haven't won the war isn't to say that we haven't had some successes.
I don't move to health care.
Yes.
It seems as if the Democrats are a lot more enthusiastic about the bipartisan deal between Senators Alexander and Murray than the Republicans are. So let me ask you this. It's clear that they want, the administration wants a little bit more in this deal in order to get these payments back, these subsidy payments back to the insurance companies in order for low income. So what are you willing to do more?
Look, this is a good compromise. It took months to work out. It has a majority. It has 60 senators supporting it. We have all 48 Democrats, 12 Republicans. I would urge Senator McConnell to put it on the floor immediately this week. It will pass, and it will pass by a large number of votes. That'll put pressure on the House because let's not forget, what this bill does is prevent premiums from going up 20%, even more in some states. That falls on everybody's back. And if Republicans think that if premiums go up, they're going to avoid the blame, if Senator McConnell thinks that, he's wrong. So for the substantive reason, preventing premiums going up, that's number one. But two, because the Republicans are in charge and they should be coming up with a solution, and Senator Alexander, their leader on health care, did, we should pass it, and pass it now. You can always say, I won't pass it unless this happens. And then a Democrat says, I won't pass it unless that happens.
Yeah.
We can get together in a bipartisan way. The president urged it originally. He called both Senators Murray and Alexander and said, come to a solution. Then they come to a solution. The right wing attacks it, and he backs off. That's not leadership. Well, look, that's the problem here. You know, Chuck, that's the whole problem. But the president is not leading on issue after issue after issue. He should stop tweeting and start leading. Well, roll up his sleeves, solve problems. Don't attack so-called enemies. That'll reduce the coarsening of the debate that you correctly point out.
Let me ask you specific, though, on health care, the issue of creating association health care plans. That's something he did in an executive order on. It's something they'd like to see become a part of this deal, that loosens some of the regulations that would allow for the creation of this. The Democrats are not in the majority in Congress. Don't you almost have an obligation that you probably have to give a little bit more since, you know, the Republicans are the ones in charge?
we gave on copper plans. You know, the Republicans always wanted copper plans. These are minimal plans. We didn't like it. I remember during the health care debate, President Obama didn't like it. That was a big concession. You can't negotiate a deal, shake hands on a deal, and then say, I'll do it only if you add this. Then the other side says, well, then add that, and the deal collapses. We have one now. And if you're going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, you won't accomplish
So you're not
anything.
budging? There is no movement? You're done? You're done? Are Democrats done negotiating?
We have a very good deal. McConnell should put it on the floor. It'll pass overwhelmingly. If Ryan puts it on the floor, it'll pass the House overwhelmingly,
right,
and the president
you didn't
would
answer
sign
if you're
it.
done. Are you still willing to talk?
We are. We have an agreement. We want to stick by it.
I understand that. Are you willing to talk or no?
We are sticking to the agreement we have. Put it on the floor. See if it fails.
All right, let me
Don't
ask.
just, I mean, you're asking me to negotiate against myself. I've been around long enough. I don't do that.
Fair enough. Let me ask you about deals with the president. It looked like you guys had a deal on DACA.
Yeah.
Now it appears as if the delay, the idea of Congress codifying the protection for these so-called dreamers is going to get postponed again. Is that what's happening? The president is going to sign an order to protect them longer than March of 2018, extends it through the end of the year in order for you guys to keep negotiating?
Well, I would hope that we can get DACA done before the end of the year. There's overwhelming support in the House and Senate, once again, to deal with these kids. Even the president has expressed sympathy, and I think in this case it's genuine for the DACA kids. What happened here, same thing on health care. We came to an agreement, the right wing attacked, and he backed off. He cannot let a fringe wing of the Republican Party run the show, or his presidency will not accomplish anything, and that's the greatest rap against him, even with his supporters. So what he ought to do is follow through on the agreement he had with Leader Pelosi and I. If not, we will figure out a way to get this done before the end of the year. We think it's really important.
So you still think end of the year, fair enough. And finally,
I do.
The president targeted you this week on the issue of Iran. He said Dem Senator Schumer hated the Iran deal made by President Obama. But now that I am involved, he is okay with it. Tell that to Israel, Chuck. Senator, let me ask you this. Why aren't you happy that you have an opportunity to potentially make the deal tougher or to renegotiate the deal? Why aren't you embracing the president's move here?
Well, General Mattis isn't. General Mattis and our military leaders, I believe the Secretary of State as well, has said that it's not in our national security to undo the deal. Let me say two things. First, if we were to undo the deal, Iran would not be squeezed because the Europeans would continue to trade with Iran, and sanctions only work if we all do them. Even though I was against the deal to begin with, I thought it could have been negotiated much better. We're in a different situation now. Second, the most immediate threat from Iran is not as part of the deal, which everyone agrees they have not violated, the nuclear part, but two other things. One, ICBMs, they're building them, real danger. Two, they're arming Hezbollah to the teeth, particularly in Lebanon, with rockets that could really damage Israel. We ought to come up with tough new sanctions that go after Iran on those things, but don't violate JCPOA. We have already enacted some sanctions, and the president, as usual, he's tweeting away, but just like with Russia, he hasn't even enacted these sanctions. This presidency doesn't get anything done. All he does is spend his time tweeting and degrading his so-called enemies. That doesn't work and demeans the presidency.
All right, Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, the Senate Democratic leader. I will leave it there,
sir. Sorry about
the
Yankees. Got to throw that in.
Well,
sorry about the Yankees.
Well, you know, yeah, that's all right. It's good for Houston, though. They need something to pull for. How about that? All right, thank you, sir.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.